Located in St. Louis, Missouri, so just here in the middle of the United States. Then kind of the more professional background, MCSE, MCSA, more of kind of the Excel history here. So in terms of my kind of journey to Power BI through the Power Pivot and obviously the Power Query integrations, AI, Power Platform, you name it, just kind of a Microsoft guy, top to bottom. But one of the most things that I'm proud of here at the very least is co-organizer of the St. Louis Power BI user group. So we meet every third Thursday of the month. Sessions similar to what you're going to experience today. Generally, I'm leading, throwing people in the deep end of knowledge, and then just seeing, obviously, just you know, what are the areas that we need to continue to find those blind spots and correct them for you. Just to let you know, I'm not a robot. You know, I'm not just Microsoft all the time. Personal interests. So I call these my trinity of interests: cats, professional wrestling, and data. So yes, in my opinion, cats rule and dogs drool. I think that Andre the Giant should have went over Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3. And then, of course, just data all the time. And then I understand that this could be a bit of a polarizing topic, but it's just in the spirit of full transparency with you today. I do enjoy putting pineapple on my pizza. Maybe you're kind of giving me the puke emoji in the chat now, but let me know where you stand on that kind of debate here. Are you pro or are you anti? Just give me the thumbs up or thumbs down. Let me know you're out there. So with that, hopefully I've stalled enough for you, for those kind of jumping in. Tabular editor. If you haven't already done so, just download and install kind of the Tabular editor. Click back over here once again. You're going to want to go to the assets section. So either the MSI or the portable.zip. And then if you, this is just kind of a new application here within your organization, I do want to point out, just here on the GitHub page, this has been digitally signed. So this is obviously just now trusted kind of within the Microsoft you know, ecosystem of collaborators. So Daniel and obviously his company kind of capacity, they have gone ahead and had this digitally signed. All right, jumping back into Power BI then, we've downloaded, we've got our file. Hopefully you can pull that up now. Just a minimum requirement, you need to at least be on the July desktop version. So I'll kind of give that disclaimer here again.
Alex, sorry for the quick interruption. I just need to inform everyone that this session is recorded, and that everyone who doesn't want to be part of the recording should leave the session now. Just, I need to say that. Thanks.
Thank you, Lars. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here. I'm going to do something real quick though. So if you're having any issues kind of with the external tools, one of the things you'll want to do within the file options, preview features, store data sets using the enhanced metadata format. And then you're kind of asking me, well, Alex, what does this mean, this whole metadata, this new enhanced format? You know, going forward, this will be the only format. So there is no legacy kind of Power BI formats. If you're to look out just on our release wave here report that kind of thrown together for the community, you will notice XMLA general availability is kind of currently targeted for September. So next month, that will be the only format moving forward. So with that, if at the end of today's session, you're like, Alex, this enhanced metadata format sounds great, but I'm still doing a lot of Power BI development. I'm just not willing to kind of put myself into maybe an unstable, you know, if I go to file save and it gives me an error, I'm just not willing to kind of risk that. Completely fine. I agree. So with that, if at the end of today you want to go ahead and disable that enhanced metadata format, go ahead and do so. Cool. So jumping back into our just Power BI desktop, first thing I want to point out is this external tools, this whole thing that our community is excited about. If you go to the help page, you'll see now this new button, external tools. This will take you out just to our browser here once again. And this talks about kind of the three that we're really spotlighting and highlighting here. So Tabular editor, which we're hitting on here today, digitally signed, trusted. Start talking to your IT groups about just bringing that in. And then obviously DAX Studio, the SQL BI guys just recently got that digitally signed as well. And I think of the three, ALM Toolkit is still the one that's just not digitally signed, though ironically it is built and kind of managed by one of Microsoft's employees, Christian Wade. So come out here, read through the documentation, talk with your IT teams just about how important these tools are, why you should bring them into your organization. But once again, that digitally signed, that trusted. Cool. So let me close out of some of these browsers. I've stalled more than enough for today. We're just going to kind of work this page top to bottom. So I'm going to snap kind of Power BI. Awesome. We're on the left, and then we'll have the right. So first things are setup. Make sure that you have that enhanced metadata format enabled. At the end of today, remember to disable it if you're just not comfortable kind of using preview features. But from here, I'm going to move to external tools. We're going to press Tabular Editor. Awesome. We're going to navigate now to our file and then our preferences. We're going to look at these preferences here that have just kind of been unchecked. So allow unsupported Power BI features will let me to edit all TOM objects and properties. All right, so that's kind of interesting. And then the detect changes, so automatically update the Tabular object model loaded in Tabular Editor. All right, so I guess this one lets me kind of edit, and this one lets me go ahead and read. So I'm going to enable both of these here now. Experimental features, kind of enhanced metadata format. Everything just feels like kind of experimental. So let's press OK. Awesome. Then we're going to scroll down. So what is this whole TOM thing that I was referencing? So the TOM is our Tabular object model. If you were to kind of think about this, just scaling back, our server would kind of be like our Power BI service. Obviously, our database is just our kind of our workspaces, and models are our data sets, which contain our data sources. So our Power Query, our data experience there. Tables. So what are the elements of our tables here? So our columns, maybe our measures, hierarchies, so things that are stored within that table structure. Obviously, relationships between tables, maybe roles, so like role level security, just a membership table permissions. Awesome. So I'm starting to think about this TOM object now. And let's see it kind of in person here then. So within the Power BI desktop, if you're already in Tabular Editor, you can go and stay there. I'm going to click it just one more time, build that muscle memory though. External tools, Tabular Editor. Letting me know here that experimental feature. Yes, I agree. Let's go ahead and press OK. And I'm going to do a file and then just a save to folder. So if you'd like, you can create a folder just on your local machine. We're just going to go ahead and save the output here. So within my downloads, my sales demo, go ahead and select this folder. Cool. So let's see what this looks like then. So my downloads, my sales demo. Awesome. All right. So the tables that we were talking about, kind of the roles, and then maybe the relationships. So if I click into tables, calendar, yes. Customer transactions, yep. So it's not outputting the underlying data. It's just the metadata behind this TOM. One more file though, probably more important here. So within the file, we're not going to do save as. We're just going to save it here within that same folder, this model.bim file. So model.businessintelligence model. It's a bit redundant in terms of naming, I would agree, but let's go ahead and hit save. Awesome. Jumping back out to my folder, the top level, model.bim. If I was to right click on this here now, and I'm just opening it in any kind of text editor, so I open with code. Very cool. All right, so looks like it's a kind of a JavaScript object notation. So it's a JSON body structure, compatibility level here at 1520. All right. Power BI, yep, V3. My tables, all right. So I'm starting to recognize some things kind of within my TOM. That orders, yes. The columns, kind of within my tables. So like order ID, and the data types. What else was in the TOM though? We said relationships. Cool. Yeah. So our relationships information, then also roles. Let's do that. Roles. So I can see, obviously, just that row level security here. For my Florida sales reps, just a column expression, so state province is equal to Florida, kind of in this example. All right, so I'm scaling back here now. So Power BI is just one big JavaScript object notation file. So this is a big JSON file. So I guess I could come out here and copy and paste this and maybe rewrite this by hand. That seems like a lot, though. So this is the benefit kind of here of Tabular Editor. Tabular Editor provides us with the graphical user interface. It can both read this JSON, so this model.bim, and also write to it, so creating changes. So I can see my orders tables, so I can inherit that. If I was to expand this out, I can see my order ID right here. So it's kind of like a graphical user interface here for the model.bim. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause. Any questions here around the Tabular object model? All right. Now I'll assume silence is golden, and you're all probably just thinking, Alex, I have no idea what you've done. You just dropped me in the middle of the ocean. I have no idea which way is shore. I need you to trust me here. We're going to continue to just kind of peel back the onion over the next hour here, just exposing more and more great things here about Tabular, kind of Tabular Editor, then obviously the Tabular object model. But I just want you to know what is possible. So let's scroll down. If you're following along, best practice analyzer here. Get back to my model, and Alex, I've taken a look at your model, man. It's just unusable. It's unusable. It's just all over the board. What are you talking about? I'm kind of looking at my field names. They look great. They're easily kind of spaced out here, readable. Column names look easy to kind of read as well. Now, I had my experts look at your file. They just came back and they found a lot of issues. What experts? I literally opened this file 2 minutes ago. I just downloaded it. What experts? There was no time to have those experts look at my file. You're right. We've taken the rich history of analysis services, this 20-year journey, and we've condensed all these experts and their knowledge now into best practices. So we're going to go ahead and take a look out here on the GitHub. All of this information, all of these best practices have been compiled for you. And obviously, if you'd like, you can go and contribute as well. So if you have any kind of things that you found great success in, you'd like to share with the community, come out here, look through the contributions. So with today, we're going to go ahead and start just by navigating to this BPA rules standard out in the GitHub. And this is the reason why I want you to see this just in the event that you're out kind of talking with peers or maybe customers. BPA rules standard.json. And then the important thing here is you want to go and press raw, because we want to get this in the raw JSON format. So it's this raw button. Copy the web browser address here at the very top. And then within Tabular Editor, we're going to go to our tools. We're going to go to our manage BPA rules. We're going to go ahead and add just here. Include a rule file from URL. So this way, if there's any new rules that are added over time, we're just going to go ahead and inherit those here just by pointing to this address. So I'm going to press OK. I'm going to drop in this address here now. If I look at the rule collections, I can see this GitHub address that we just collected. I can see all the different rules. Awesome. So I'm going to press OK. Now I want to see what the experts were thinking here about my model. So I'm going to press Tools. If you're a hotkey fan, F10. Scale back out here. 190 objects in violation of 13 best practices. Wow. I'm going to collapse this here at the very top, collapse all. I started looking through some of these rules that they identified. So provide format strings for visible numeric, yes. Do not use floating point data types. I would agree. Don't use 15 decimal places. You know, if you're looking for that type of precision. Hide foreign key columns. Oh, this one seems pretty interesting. So I'm going to expand this now. Then if I hover above one of these columns, I'll notice that description. So columns used on the many set of relationships should be hidden. As related dimension is probably the best place to apply a filter. I would agree. That seems like a great kind of best practice that we should all apply. So I'm going to press the script option up here at the very top to generate fixed script. Now copy to my clipboard, press OK. Zoom out here, and then within Tabular Editor at the very top right, this advanced scripting option. I'm going to paste this script. So just Control V. Make this a little bit bigger here so we can read these lines. All right, so what is this? What is the script that it generated for us? So model.tables orders, all right. Columns customer ID, all right. This is hidden property, looks like is true. All right, so salesperson ID is hidden equals true. All right, so it seems like it's gonna maybe update a hidden property to true now, so hiding these individual columns. So let's see this here in kind of the Power BI desktop. So go ahead and snap this to the left. If we're doing our orders table here now, customer ID, looks like salesperson ID, it's going to hide. So I'm going to run this script within Power kind of Tabular Editor here now. F5 if you're the keyboard fan. Press green. Cool, I noticed that these are a lighter shade of gray. They're still not hidden over here. Huh. So one thing I'll need to do is I'll need to save my changes. So here at the very top, save the changes connected to the database to my Power BI dataset, or Control S. Press save. I can feel the little sluggishness, the working on the model. Awesome. Fields are now instantly hidden. So I was able to hide 11 different fields in just the click of a button. Cool. So I'm in Tabular Editor. I wrote down to my data set. I'm trying to remember here now. I think if I make changes in Power BI, Tabular Editor can also recognize those. So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to do unhide all. Instantly working on it. Now black and visible. So I have changes that I've made in Tabular Editor, wrote down to my data set in Power BI, and I've made changes in Power BI, and Tabular Editor has been able to just go ahead and read those as well. All right. So this is cool. So I can do a little bit of scripting, some automation. Let's go back to those rules though. So if I press Tools, my Best Practice Analyzer. If I look back at these, I see those hide foreign key columns. I know what this rule is now. I know it's, I'll call it fairly innocent. It's not going to destroy my model. It's just purely hiding columns. I don't want to see the script this time. I actually just want to apply it. So let's just apply the fix. So if I go here to the right, apply fix, I can see those are now instantly grayed out. Then that one final step, I want to go ahead and save that back to my model. Saving those changes, customer ID, hidden, gone. What I would suggest is just as you begin to feel more comfortable with some of the best practices that are outlined here, just knowing, hey, if I'm not going to apply it to all of them, maybe I just apply it to a few of them, or I can instantly just press the apply fix. But it's not just about kind of the Tabular model itself and the best practices there. It's also about your organizational best practices. One thing that I'm noticing here within the model is just this local date table. It's this auto date time intelligence. We should disable this thing. We really need a great rule to kind of call this out if we ever see it in the future. So jumping back over to my Power BI sessions, I'm going to scroll down now just to creating a new rule. Let's try this. Close out my best practice. I'm going to open up this window, manage BPA rules, create a local rule here. So rules in the local machine. I'm going to press new rule. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here for us. So I'm going to call this just a disable auto time intelligence. Severity, it's pretty low, so I'm just leave it as 1. It's not going to, disrupt my model. I'm going to call this more of a performance description. I'm going to save you from having me read you this entire book. Paste this back in to our description. This applies to my model. And I'm going to add this little expression down here. So any tables, so for any table, if it has a name property, right, that starts with parenthesis, double quotes, that local date table underscore, close parentheses, or I'm sorry, double quotes, close parenthesis, and then the minimum compatibility level. If we remember thinking back to our TOM 1520, so we are more than fine here. But if you have any kind of legacy SQL servers, so 1200 compatibility level, 14 or 1470, you can set those compatibility levels for this should apply. I've got my new rule here to call out auto time intelligence. I'm going to press OK. I've created a new rule here now that my organization can use. We're building our own best practices, tools, best practice analyzer. I see here my rule has now been kind of picked up. So my disable auto time intelligence, if I hover above, I get that description, yes. Unfortunately, I can't disable this automatically. I wish I could. So what I'll need to do is go back over to my Power BI desktop file, navigate to File, Options and Settings, Options, Current File, Data Load. I'm going to go ahead and disable this here within my current file, Auto Date Time. An even better practice would be just to disable this globally if you've not already done so. So within the data load, auto date time intelligence for new files, just have it disabled. Always use your own calendar table. But for today, current file, auto date time. If I press OK, I look at these tables out here. So reading the data set changes within Power BI. Changes made to the model outside of Tabular. Do you want to update the model metadata? Yeah, of course. So let's press yes. Local date tables now removed. Awesome. And if I was to refresh my model here, disable auto date time, now removed. So I've only got about 136 more to go, but I'll go ahead and spare you that total cleanup today. So let me pause here. Like I said, I'm not in a rush today. This is your time. Any questions just around best practice analyzer? Your thoughts, just having a 20-year history of knowledge just at your fingertips now, having that knowledge to review your model. I think it's incredible. All right, silence is golden. I get it. Just in awe. Jumping back over then. So let's start talking about automated scripting activities. So really, whenever we start getting into just our model, what are things we can do just to have that rapid development? The scripting language, I'll just be transparent. It is C#. I know absolutely nothing about C#, but I'm really good at solving problems. So we're going to look at our problems. We're going to start breaking them down here. Oh gosh, Andreas, 321 violations. It's going to be a long weekend. So we're going to break down our problems here just in terms of our scripting. So let's start. I'm going to clear out these rules, my advanced scripting window. Just go ahead and zoom in here, make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to put my hands on the keyboard. So for our kinesthetic learners that like to just, get the point and click repetitions in here. So we're going to start with a selected period. Awesome. So a little IntelliSense. A table object. So the currently selected table. Period. Now I'm going to add a measure. So add measure. Cool. And then I'm going to go and dial this back here just once more. So my arguments are name, expression, then display folder. All right. So my name, expression, display folder. So my first argument here is going to be my name. So this is going to be total count of double quotes. My concatenator over here in C# is going to be a plus symbol. Selected period table period, and then my property. So whatever name, so the name of the table that I select. Next one Here is my expression, so my DAX measure. So I'm going to do a count rows, open parenthesis. I'm going to do a single quote just as a good practice. That way, if I have tables where there's a space included, I've got that single quote just to make sure kind of future-proofed. Double quotes, concatenator, that plus symbol, selected, period, table, period, name, concatenator, double quote, single quote, close parenthesis, double quotes. Whew. All right, muscle memory. Comma here at that end. And then that third argument was just our folder. So I'm going to store this in just my measurements folder. Why not? Good practice here once again, just on the C# side. Single, just the semicolon to close out this statement. We're now going to click on the orders table. So I've now selected the orders table, and now I'm going to add a measure. So if I press the green, remember this is the F5 option, instantly deploys a measure, total count of orders. Cool, cool. So breaking this down here again. So the first argument is my name. The second argument is my DAX expression. And then my third is my display folder. So in the bottom right-hand corner here, I can look at my properties page. I can see the total count of orders. Yes. I can see the expression count rows of orders. Then I can see my display folder. Yeah, so Fernando has a great question here, just in terms of writing, DAX measures over here, just through this automated process versus the traditional way. At least in the Power BI side, what you're going to notice is whenever you press that enter after every DAX measure, it takes that time to reprocess, and you feel that sluggish. It's just like slowing down your momentum, your rapid development time. I'll continue to reveal here why this is so cool, Fernando, but you can do just kind of this multi-development over here. The changes are only saved at the very end. But this is scripting, so this is automation. We'll kind of pull back to when you may want to do things just manually over here on Tabular Editor. But great question, great question. Cool, so I can still use the hotkeys that I'm familiar with, like Control-Z to undo, Control-Y to reapply. So I'm going to do that Control-Z here now just to remove this total count of orders. And I noticed this selected.table.name, I kind of wrote it out twice. So what are the things that I know in Power BI that maybe I could apply over here? So like variables, like I store variables, right? So var is my variable. I'm gonna just call it table name. I can call it anything. I call it pineapple if you want. Var table equals. Now I'm gonna store this selected.table. All right. Period name. Good practice, that semicolon at the very end. And now instead of writing this twice, I'm just going to go ahead and steal this table name variable that I've created. I'm going to go ahead and run this again. So just go ahead and run the script. I see measurements. Back to total count of orders. Awesome. Let's try it again here with the customers and employees table. So I'm going to do it over two tables now. So I'm going to hold Control, or I can hold Shift if they're adjacent. I'm going to run this script to have two measures written all at once. No, don't need to write a result here. So I'm going to go ahead and run this script over my two tables. And I got this error. What is this? Selection contains more than one object of type table. All right, yeah, I selected two different items. I'm talking about this rapid development. So how do I do more than one activity? I probably need to look at maybe like looping. I'm gonna get rid of this code, just building that muscle memory. I'm gonna go to my samples, go to my tutorials here now. I'm gonna choose the loop through all selected tables. So the great part here, Andre, all of this is available and already recorded for you out on this page. And then from today's meeting, if there was any great questions that were brought up, Lars is going to have this available for you as well. So if you're at the point where you're deep in the ocean, you're saying, Alex, I'm just pushing back and getting off my hands on the keyboard here. I just want to watch, kind of absorb all of this. I completely understand. But I'm going to create this loop now. So jumping back over to our samples, our tutorials. loop through all selected tables. I'm going to select this option here now. This green, it's my comment. I'm not really too worried about comments for today. So I'm just going to delete this line, and I'm going to break this problem down. So for each, and then my selected tables, and I'm going to go ahead and store this in a variable that's called table. Awesome. If I scroll back out here, my var, I'm going to create that table name again. This is going to be getting that name property right. So my name of my table. So table.name. Close up in my semicolon here. I'm going to add a measure. So table.add measure. My arguments here. Does anyone remember the arguments? What were the 3 arguments? If you could help me out in the chat. What were I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I'll give you a moment here. What were the 3 arguments of the add measure?
Measure name.
Yeah, name. Yeah. So name, and then you said expression, right?
Exactly.
Total count of, and then our table name, so comma. Next one is be our DAX expression. Awesome. Thank you, everyone who kind of chimed in here. So our count rows, just the open parentheses, single quote, just good practice. Tables that maybe have a space, double quotes here, our concatenator table name, again, it's that variable we're pointing to. Double quotes, single quote, close parenthesis, double quotes, comma, oof. And then our measurements, just go ahead and store it in that measurements folder. Optional property, you don't have to put it there if you don't want, but just something I enjoy doing here. So close these both out with semicolon. I've got both customers and employees selected here now, so I'm just hold control. If I run this script, awesome. So measurements, total count of customers, total count of employees. So I was able to do kind of looping through activities now over multiple tables, but it's probably not likely that I'll be doing a lot of like table level kind of looping. It's gonna be more like column based. So let me undo these. So I'm gonna just do Control Z. Get rid of this script here again. We're going to look back at my tutorials. So samples, tutorials, loop through all selected columns this time. All right. Learning this whole C# thing. I'm starting to read this. So for each selected column, so for each column that I select, it's going to go and store those metadata, my Tom properties in this variable that's called column. Get rid of this comment here now. So let's remove this. Let's put the hands back on the keyboard. So column, and then my table. I'm going to add a measure, open parenthesis. The name here is going to be just a sum of plus column period name. So I'm going to get that name property, comma. My DAX expression here, so sum, open parenthesis, just a double quote this time. So I'm not going to use a single. I'm going to do a plus. I'm going to use this property called column.dax object full name plus quote, close parenthesis, double quote, comma. Then what is this DAX object full name? Let's go ahead and take a look here. So the DAX object full name property provides the fully qualified name. So both the table name and the column name. So this is great. If I had 2 columns that are maybe called the same thing within my model, this DAX object full name is going to go and just prefix it here with my table name. So that's awesome. That's awesome. That's a good one. Kind of store here. So I'm going to do that last, just measurements again. Close parenthesis, semicolon here at the very end. And let's select these 3 different columns. So our sales order lines table, I'm going to collapse some of these. So if you're using your keyboard, you can press left or right to expand or collapse, up or down to kind of move between the different objects. So I'm going to just press left to collapse. Sales order lines, I'm going to go ahead and kind of expand this out here now. I want to select quantity, unit price, and then pick quantity. Cool. So I'm going to just run the script here now. I see measurements. I was able to instantly write sum of quantity, sum of unit price, and then sum of pick quantity. Huh. All right, so I was able to do just kind of this multi-loop here now. Let me undo. I want to add a little bit more here. So maybe it's just not sums, maybe also adding averages. So I'm going to press Control Z, get rid of my measurements folder. I'm going to put my hands back on the keyboard here now. So column.table.add measure, open parenthesis. I'm going to do average of double quotes, concatenator, column dot name. I feel like I already wrote that. That seems interesting. So, comma, average, double quotes, plus column dot dax object. Yes, Alex, I'm noticing something. Maybe we should have stored these in a variable. I would agree. I love that you're already looking at the code and you're already thinking of new ways that you could improve upon this. So let me go ahead and complete this here now. So you're reading the code, you're thinking of new ways how you can improve upon this. So I'm going to close this out, store this in our measurements folder, close parenthesis, semicolon. Obviously, if you want, you can just copy and paste or just put your hands on the keyboard and write these out yourself. But let's write this here now. So we're going to select quantity, we're going to select unit price and pick quantity. We're going to run our script. Awesome. So I was able to write those 6 measures. I can go ahead and Control S, save these back to my model. I see my sales order lines table. My 6 measures were instantly written here. And then watch this, because this is why I'm excited. Kind of bring it back to Fernando's original question. Scroll down here to the bottom of the page. Script snippets, because a lot of these are patterns that we all use, like time intelligence. We're just scroll down here, copying this script snippet. So somebody's already solved time intelligence for me. I'm going to get rid of this code over here now. I'm noticing at the very top, they have this thing, the variable that we remember. My date table is not called date, though. It's called calendar. So I'm simply going to update this to calendar. And I'm still having the date column. So I'm going to select these 6 measures here now that I just created. And I'm going to create time intelligence for them. Just press run. I was instantly able to deploy 36 different measures in the click of a button. Leveraging these script snippets that have already been written. And then obviously our community. That's the best part of Power BI, is the journey with kind of everyone else here. So if you have scripts that you'd like to contribute, here's the GitHub repo. So there are a few out here already. So basic level scripts, and then maybe more intermediate. If you have a long weekend and you're stuck inside, a good challenge. Just DAX patterns being released here recently with the updated V2. Maybe come out here and look at some of the patterns, such as time patterns. What pattern do they have? How can you translate that into a script that can be deployed over to Tabular editor? It would be an honor for me to come out here one day and copy and paste your scripts. I'll just let you know right now. So let me go and pause here. Advanced scripting, just being able to deploy all of these measures in the single click of a button. It's incredible. And feel free to come off mute as well, or drop a comment in the chat. Just make sure I don't want to move on. Just this is too important of a topic. Move on. Awesome, Fernando. Cool. So I'm noticing these repeated patterns just in terms of this YTD, PY. It's probably not good to just have, hundreds of measures out here if it's really the same pattern over and over again. So let's go ahead and just Control Z to clean this up. And I was talking, not everything has to be scripting. So it really comes down to knowing when to put your just hands on the keyboard, write a script versus just pointing and clicking through the user interface. So here within Tabular Editor, I'm going to just right click now tables. I'm going to create a new and then a calculation group. So if you're a hotkey fan, Alt+7. It's creating this new group. I'm just going to call it, time intelligence. Obviously, you can call it whatever you want. It's not name dependent. I'm going to go and right click here just to expand this out. I've got my name property. So let's go down to the property page here. I'm just going to update my name and call it my time calculation. Then I've got calculation items. So I'm going to go ahead and create 3 new ones here. So right click or alternate click if you're left-handed. So new calculation item. Create one more and one more. So we'll get 3 in here. And then new calculation. Up at the very top here, we have expression editor. So I'm going to click into this now. We're going to write these 3 different measures. So it's going to be a calculate. Just to open parentheses. One thing you'll notice here is I'm writing DAX, but there is no IntelliSense. So I know that is something that Daniel does have kind of targeted for his next major release. So just kind of go out there, look at the release notes. Right now, he's kind of concentrating on the minor and bug fixes. Okay, so I'm going to write this measure that I've not traditionally used before. So let's do selected measure. I don't really use this one before, but it's just open and closed parentheses, so there's no arguments that I'm passing through. My dates, MTD, my calendar table here, so just calendar, square bracket dates, close that out, close parenthesis once again. The best code is the kind you can copy and paste. So I'm going to move down now to my new calculation 1, paste it over here. Just let's do a QTD this time, and then one more here for YTD. So I've got 3 different calculations here. I've got MTD, QTD, and YTD. And I'm going to go ahead and just update the names here now. So you can press F2 to just kind of go into edit mode on the left-hand side, or you can go to the property page down here, changing the name property, so our Tom property. So this is going to be QTD, and then we'll do one more. Just call this YTD. And it's not just scripting for bulk activities. You can select all 3 of these here now. So I'm going to select all 3. Just holding Shift, I can see my format string expression. And I'm going to format it like currency. So I'm going to click in here now, double quotes, money symbol, numerical sign, comma, 0.00. Close quotes here, so just go ahead and steal that format symbol. We're going to save this now, our changes, kind of getting back over to our Power BI desktop file. So we're going to save this calculation group. Press refresh now, just letting me know that I need to refresh the metadata here with my model. Yes, it's fine. Time intelligence table now created with my time calculation. I'm going to go into full screen mode here on our desktop, and I'm going to drop in just a matrix. So we can just kind of see a nice flat representation. Put in calendar, we'll put in year, and maybe month. And that should be good. And then let's drop in maybe sales order lines. I'll use our total unit price here as my values. Cool, so I can see unit price. I can see it obviously here broken out by month as well. And then let me drop in that time calculation into my columns. Cool. So I can see the total unit price month to date, my quarter to date figure, also my year to date. And I'm thinking back on that code. So we had that selected measure. I didn't really tell it to use total unit price. So what if I change this now? So I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to try using maybe, let's do sum of quantity. Month to date, sum of quantity. Quarter to date, year to date. If I change this again, average of unit price. Just creating these patterns here. So we're thinking like time intelligence, or maybe it's like variance, kind of evaluating where you take all those measures that you have now, then just transition and kind of clean up your model, just putting them into calculation groups. Cool. So let me jump back over just to our page here. Where do you go from here, after today? So as you continue with your journey, I would recommend just looking out at PowerBI.tips. They did a fantastic session just with Daniel Oedeker on the Tabular editor side here.
Some of you that are a little...
And he's got about I want to say maybe 4.5 hour or a little bit more worth of content. So if something stuck out to you today where you're thinking, I want to learn more about scripting, go watch the video. If it's more around best practices, go watch the video. And then obviously DevOps as well. If you're looking at kind of that full lifecycle management of that model.bim file. Script snippets, if you want to start learning, how to write these scripts. I don't know anything about C# once again. Come out here, start learning just from these examples. I think somebody asked a great question yesterday just in terms of looking at like VBA versus C#. I actually think that this would be easier if you're transitioning over from kind of the traditional, like maybe like Excel analyst world, because the rules are limited, right? The rules are defined within our tabular object model. So like we have the name of the measure, what is the expression, display folder, format string. I actually think that this would be easier to learn. And then I think he also did just a fantastic write-up here to kind of get you started and then seeing some more advanced patterns that he's kind of written. Community scripts, please go out. If you beat me to it, I won't be mad. But if you want to translate all of the DAX patterns V2 over to community scripts, it would be my honor to copy and paste those. And then of course just calculation groups to just learning about these more and more. So either through the Microsoft Docs or maybe the SQL BI blog. I know they're doing a fantastic series over there, kind of around this topic. But with that, I am done. Hopefully you had a lot of fun here. This page is available for you. And if you maybe have team members that weren't able to attend today, tell them to follow along, just top to bottom. I have the optional guided videos that'll take you over to my YouTube page. So I'll mute this here in a second. Everything we did today, I do it just in the video form. And then from here, leave me a comment. If you have any questions, more than happy to kind of jump out here and just kind of connect with you as well. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and just throw out my credentials here, the fun stuff. Connect with me online. I'm always hanging out over on Twitter, just over at Not About to Sell, and then over on LinkedIn, just Alex M. Powers, or you can find me as Alex Powers, just through the user search. Whew. That's it. Any questions, any thoughts? What was kind of the big moment for you today? If this is kind of your first time, seeing Tabular Editor.
And please unmute yourself. You don't have to write in the comments.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for dropping in, Tom.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for using Tabular Editor in conjunction with analysis services models, so with Visual Studio?
Oh yeah, I feel like that's been coming up more and more. So you can connect out to kind of analysis services. So I was doing that yesterday in terms of migrating analysis services over to Power BI premium data sets. 2 minutes or less. I think Datamark did a fantastic blog series, or just a blogger on this. So let me pull that up. Datamark. Yep. My recommendation, if I was looking at long-term development, personally I think Visual Studio is just way too heavy. Looking at like white screen of death, waiting for things to process. Tabular Editor is just extremely lightweight, and I love that you also have the scripting flexibility. And then the fact that you can connect to SQL Server Analysis Services, Azure Analysis Services, or Power BI, desktop or premium data sets. I think the versatility is just incredible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great question. Have you started kind of playing around in Tabular Editor a little bit more, or traditionally just Visual Studio?
I started with Visual Studio, but I used Tabular Editor to migrate a model from Power BI Desktop into Visual Studio.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and then I had some problems with the measures limitations. So the number of measures that Visual Studio could display on one column. So, and that's not a problem with the Tabular Editor. So
yeah. Well,
It's
then
kind
we'll
of
mark
these
that as a
things.
win for Tabular Editor.
Yeah.
How many measures are we talking about?
So I'm working with the dummy table. It's it's a table just for measures. Yeah, and it has no columns.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the limit is. I didn't count them. It just there's a line. You cannot go below that.
Mm-hmm. Alex, you showed that you were using a file with the rules that you loaded from GitHub. Is that right?
Yeah.
Could you repeat that one more time, please? Of course.
Yeah, certainly. So let me jump back over to the page. Best practice analyzer. This takes you over to the GitHub. That's kind of, I'll say community. You know, I want everyone to come out here and contribute.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the rules are out here within the standard.json. And then if you do have any that you would like to start writing, just come out here and steal this template. As you can see, if you look at the issues, I've already submitted this auto date time intelligence. I want it gone. Yeah, but I think the best practice analyzer is just incredible. Kind of leveraging that rich history of analysis services.
I knew about it, but I wasn't aware that you could press this script button and have the script for putting it into the advanced scripting window.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and then it only stores within kind of the current model. So if you were doing kind of a local sync, you could do it on your local machine. But right out here now, every time it'll just, if new rules are added, it'll just inherit kind of in this current sales demo model that I have. So if you're doing a lot of just like single model development, obviously it's great. If you're doing a lot of multi-development, maybe just syncing that GitHub down to a local repository, kind of on regular cadences. Yeah, but I think that a lot of people that I've kind of shown at least the best practice analyzer to, they just are blown away. And maybe for good or bad reasons, especially looking at the number of violations that they were maybe unaware of. But all of these are design decisions, right? If the model works, that's all I care about. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but at the end of the day, people need to get stuff done. So,
sure. Cool. It seems like it was a lot of work for you doing this because it's quite detailed and also allowing to read or to watch the video. Why did you do that?
Yeah. So for me, I felt like this was too important of a topic to just kind of casually introduce people to. I want people building models faster. And I think the Tabular Editor is a great way for all of us who have been around Power BI Desktop for a while now. Great self-service tool for getting started, but I think as more of us mature into kind of Tabular modeling, we're looking for deeper, kind of richer experiences on the development side. Tabular Editor is that thing for right now. I would love to see more native features or functionalities, but I understand, time is a finite resource in terms of the development team. So the more I can get this in front of people, the more I can go out and champion it. Hopefully organizations or, our community, if they ever want to go out here and deliver it, all of this is available to them. And then kind of with this as well, github.com/Microsoft/PBI workshops. I was able to steal an official Microsoft repo. So I'm putting this out here now, hopefully for all my peers, all the community to leverage. So Tabular Editor in an hour. Later on tonight, late in the evening, I'll be finishing ALM Toolkit in an hour. If you've been following me on GitHub or just over on the blogs in general, I'm going to do kind of admin in an hour. So Power BI commandlets. If you press this button, I've not really published kind of this as like a full-blown announcement, but press launch binder. It spins you up a virtual kernel here with Jupyter Notebook and a PowerShell, which will then take us into commandlets overview. I mean, it shows you everything, but yeah, we'll give this a minute here. Come on, I'll give this a second. That we can kind of see the full experience. Awesome. So we press that button, it spins up this virtual kernel now here for us with Jupyter Notebook and also PowerShell integration. So if I wanted to learn about Power BI commandlets, I can come out here in an interactive fashion. I can just press run. It's going to go and install these modules here now for me in this kernel. So both the Power BI management and the data gateway. And then from here, just like a talk track type demo where you can press this interactively, getting your hands on the keyboard, kind of lowering that barrier for entry, just for people that maybe aren't traditionally from kind of this whole BI interactive background of administration, management, whatever it may be. But these are the fun things I'm always trying to work on just for the community.
Cool, and I'm not already following you on GitHub. I will change that immediately.
Yeah. So tenant output, I'm starting to work on a script that will just document your entire tenant. Noticing a few things that I need to start cleaning up, but otherwise the majority of things are out here. I need to start looking at the REST API and kind of getting that as well. But refresh history, if you want to kind of go through your entire workspaces, pull down all your refreshes, do it. Gateway data sources, come out here. Yeah, always thinking of fun ways that people can just copy and paste my solutions. So, whew.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
First of all, thanks for the offer, because you were offering this session on Twitter pretty publicly.
Yeah.
So it was a pleasure having you here. Yeah, but I hope for all the attendees it was quite interesting. For me, it was definitely, and I'm impressed that you invest so much time in making this tool more available and understandable for people.
We all have the same frustrations, right? We all want to do more with Power BI Desktop. So DAX Studio is great for just like monitoring, kind of performance testing, but Tab Editor, just in terms of actual development and just being able to do things faster through these repeated patterns, I think it's awesome. Areas that I am frustrated with, obviously, is like the Power Query side. I'd love to see more kind of third-party tool integrations. And then, I'm trying to even think here, quick measure. Like, when was the last time anybody clicked this button? I don't think it's received love in, years. If you post an idea out here, why do we not have more quick measures? So I would love to see kind of that community gallery be natively integrated kind of within the product. So I have my own personal frustrations, but I think that the community has done a fantastic job just kind of closing those gaps for everyone. Oh, awesome. Well, if everyone hasn't already done so, like I said, just feel free to connect with me. You can reach out anytime. Obviously, Lars, you feel free to reach out anytime as well, kind of in the future, but always happy just hanging out with the community, just anything you guys have going on.
Alex, this is Fernando in Mexico. Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah,
and
you're
Lars, welcome. One question. This is the last series of webinars for Tabular Editor you are giving, Alex?
No, not even.
At least in this short period?
No, I've still got one tomorrow.
Tomorrow, because
and then I'm doing ALM Toolkit in an hour right afterwards. So I think five presentations this week, Fernando.
Because this is my first time, and it was just a rush because I just saw Twitter 1 minute ago.
Oh gosh!
Before the start of this webinar, so it was.
Don't feel like you have to keep up with me. The optional guided videos are for you, and then hopefully you saw something today where you're like, that was pretty cool. Now I know I should invest my time though.
Yes, well, this is the first time, and makes my brain start thinking about it, no?
Yep. I love hearing that. I had the same impression the first time I started kind of seeing Tabular Editor. And I don't know if we still have Tom here on the line, but I've got his Pro DAX with Power BI book just on the right-hand side of my desk here. I'm looking forward to rewriting all of his measures into script language too.
Oh, this is so nice that you mentioned that you are still having it. Thank you, Alex.
Oh yeah, I mean I love all of those books. Just any content I can get my hands on. I want to read, I want to touch. I just it's so much fun to learn, especially like an Excel background like me. Like I was never empowered with databases. So the fact that they put one into into Excel with Power Pivot, that kind of opened up the floodgates. The fact that Power BI has this analysis services database and there's this rich 20-year history and this community that's around it that are all now invited into the product. I think it's awesome. You know, it's opened up a lot of opportunities for me, and I think a lot of us would probably echo the same, just in terms of the opportunities it's created in our lives. Whew. All right, I'm getting off my soapbox here. I just love Power BI. I love hanging out with the community, though. I'm jumping on to the next thing, though. I've had a fantastic day. Everyone, please connect with me. Fernando, maybe see you tomorrow. Invite some friends. If anyone else wants to hang out tomorrow, I've got one more to go.
Good, great, thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Stay safe, stay healthy. Have a great day, night, whatsoever.
Have a good one, Tom.
Thanks, Lars.
Alex,
Thanks,
thanks a lot for being here.
Oh, yeah, it was great. Thanks again, Lars. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Danke, Lars.
Sehr gerne. You're welcome.